never forsake thee. Listen, 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 listen to my heart song. I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee, I will never forget thee, I will never forsake thee. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Hello friends, Nayaswami Hriman here. It is Thursday. I never know what the date is. Let's see, my watch says the date is the 26th of August. Just disgusting how fast time flies, and my little vacation is over and I have to work today. Isn't that terrible? Just kidding. Okay, well, welcome to the unpublished writings of Paramhansa Yogananda. I played that chant, Listen, Listen, because I rewrote entirely a blog article from, 6 years ago, dealing with my own issue of hearing loss, and it was written with the intention to share with people what my challenges are and how they might be able to make things better communication between us so that I can hear. So I rewrote it and sent it to a few more friends and so on today, but what's on my mind is the art and science of listening. I used to think from time to time that my hearing loss was a metaphysical, spiritual issue of not listening. I'm not convinced it isn't, but my own teacher, Swami Ananda, a great soul with deep attunement to our guru, Paramhansa Yogananda, had severe hearing loss. So I feel, reassured that maybe my hearing loss isn't necessarily a discipleship issue. Well, anyway, I've chosen for you today from the wisdom of Paramhansa Yogananda this little article that he wrote. It's so well written. Yogananda had such a charming way and a potent way with his words that I read it and said, well, how am I going to paraphrase that? I'm not. I'm going to read at least parts of it. Do you remember the incident in the life of Jesus Christ where I believe it was, maybe it was a young man came and said he wanted to join Jesus' little magical group, but then asked if he could take some time off and go bury his father. Well, Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. Hard to know if he was just taking advantage of the opportunity to say something of a teaching nature or whether he was really addressing that young man. I think both. That's typically how it works with great souls who are spiritual teachers. Because I think I once wrote a blog article about zombies, and truthfully, a lot of people are zombies. That means they live, as he wrote here, we can say most people are dead because their life is so mechanical. You know, they do the same thing every day. They get up every day at the same time, every day have their cup of coffee like I do, and so on and so forth. There are times in my life that the daily routine of what I do and when I shower and all this stuff, you just want to hit yourself on the head sometimes. We went recently to Mexico with our grandchildren, and that was a nice break. It was a little bit risky with the current pandemic resurgence, but here we are alive and well and so on. And, we just finished our vacation, and it's just valuable to get out of Dodge, as they say, to get out of town and do something different. I didn't do much different this time. I would like to. I love to go for longer hikes. I did some hiking and so on, but mostly I did a lot of maintenance on our home here on Camino Island. In any case, a break is always good. You rethink things, and there are several things in my life's work that we've come up with some fresh ideas. But most people, or I shouldn't say most, but so many people do live mechanically. Yogananda continues, they have no worthy desire, no ambition, no spiritual enthusiasm, no gumption, no joy of living. What is the use of living like that? Life must have inspiration. And your primary inspiration, Yogananda writes, should not be that you're here to please other people, your relatives, neighbors, or friends, or I would add co-workers, but that you are here to please God first. Now, dare I launch on what is God? Well, why don't you start with your own conscience? That's a good start. Why don't you start with your own sense of what is right and true and what you should do? That's a very good place to start. Most of us don't have God speaking out of the clouds, lo, I am always with you, you schmuck, you should do this or you should do that, or not do this and not do that. Then he goes on quickly. He just sort of segues into the guru-disciple relationship with which I started here today. And he says the way to receive help from the guru is by humbleness and a sincere desire to learn, not by trying to teach the teacher. Now, I sense in that last phrase that he was a little bit frustrated by people coming to him and wanting to teach him, to show them what... I've had this many times. I'm not a guru, but I am a teacher, and I teach spiritual things. I guess that makes me something of a spiritual teacher. Anyway, how many times in classes there's one student who's there to teach us all. I don't know why they pay good money and come to a class only to hear themselves talk, but you know, that's not unusual. The guru-disciple relationship is simply the awakened God trying to awaken the sleeping God. Yoganandaji, master, would often say God is the guru, meaning not he or him as a personality, but the first coming of Christ is in the form of the living guru, the human guru, to awaken the inner Christ, the inner guru, in each one of us. And that's why I started with the idea of listening to your own conscience, because your conscience can be a doorway to intuition, and intuition a doorway, obviously, to higher guidance of your soul, of your own inner guru. Then he becomes very abstract suddenly, or abstract or impersonal, whatever the word is. He says there is a supreme intelligence working behind everything in creation. But it's so camouflaged that you can't really see it. Because you do not see the justice of God, you become confused by seeming injustices. You know, I'm thinking of all the angst and anxiety right now about climate change and, you know, all the fires here in the West, but other places too, and climate change everywhere. Something terrible happens to a virtuous person and good fortune comes to him and you wonder why. But remember, while you are absorbed in the drama and good fortune in the drama and pathos of a novel, you can't guess the happy ending until you read the final page. God is the grand author. He keeps you in suspense with intricate tales of delusion and drama. But just think how infinitely interesting and satisfying will be his last page, when he resolves for you the mystery of life. But how can God resolve it for you until you get to know God? Do you see why that is our first obligation? To be still and know that I am? Good books of lofty and noble thought are like spiritual footprints, showing you how the great ones retraced their footsteps through life's highways and byways back to God. You think nature is cruel, but she doesn't want you to be so attached to any one person that you forget the universal consciousness of your true self. That's a long sentence. What he's talking about, of course, is the death of a loved one, or maybe in great crises, the deaths of many people. And so many people react saying God is cruel, or whatever they may say. God takes away loved ones that you might expand your love beyond your attachment to particular people. When your love has become divine love, neither temporary parting with dear ones at death, nor the fickleness of human affection toward you ever will hurt you again. Then he goes on, and this is an interesting phrase he gives us. Calmness is the best camera with which to photograph God. I want you to remember that. Calmness is the best camera with which to photograph God. Through the clearly focused lens of calmness, you will capture his image perfectly. And then he goes on a little bit, check my time here. Earthly existence is very uncertain. We see that especially now in the last couple of years with this worldwide pandemic. It's always been true, but most of us are zombies. Most of us live mechanically. Most of us take for granted the basic things of life that we have, and so on. And so it takes things like pandemics and wars, etc., and climate change, disasters, to wake us up from the routine of mechanical living. Okay, well, I kind of think that's all I'm going to say today. But that's a lovely reading. I certainly enjoyed it. And if any of you would have any interest in the little thing I wrote about hearing loss and how to, because really the art and science of communicating verbally to people is really lost in the welter of blurting and half sentences and slang and so-called witty repartee. That's not really communication. Communication is truly an art, and it's a science. It starts with placing yourself in front of someone, give me your eyes, and saying what you have to say calmly. When I was in India a year or more ago, I was just shocked, recollecting. I don't know if they were speaking fast because I didn't understand the language, but to me it was, I just, whoa. Americans don't necessarily talk that fast. Southerners talk slowly and all that, but it would be wonderful if the practice of calmness could invade and saturate our words, and more than our words, our communication to one another. Okay, great souls, remember, smiling is the best revenge against fear and anxiety. Smile. Do a body good. Joy and blessings to y'all.